Hello everybody and welcome back to BOON1ESPN, where yes, unfortunately for all of you at home, we were renewed for a third season. So, welcome back everybody. It's been a while, but new season, new me, new power rankings of course, always important things, but the docket on this episode will of course include my preseason power rankings, which are always completely accurate and never incorrect, but it'll also include a bit of punishment for me stopping making the episodes last season. I will be, taking the Overwatch foot quiz, where I hope I get 0. I really hope and fucking pray I get 0 on this thing. But without further ado, the main reason you're all here, start some fucking power rankings, baby. And there we go, all centered and everything. And look at the fancy, fancy new power rankings thingy over here for me. This will be live on the website here eventually, where you can all make your own power rankings using this thingy. I never ranked my own team, so Horse Girls at, if you want to say it's 16, they're at 16. I don't rank my own team because I think that's cringe as hell, so I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it.
Coming in here at number 15 is going to be the Wumpus Waves, which, I mean, there's been some questions with this team so far, with a lot of the trades coming on.
Oh my goodness!
It's how Big Brain planned. There's a lot of things up in the air right now with this squad. It's just how's it all come together. There are I think the trades actually made this team a lot better.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
Because you got someone like Ansha Rook, who is actually, a main role tank player for this squad, kind of filling that hole a little bit. You have some good support options, rotations for movement. You got Dante Fanfan coming to this team now, pairing up with Osmodius, and of course you always have that big brain sort of ability to go on to that role. I believe they do have a comp for that, if not, unfortunate, but they got a decent amount of flexibility now with Nexus coming into this team as well. Got kind of that hyper carry DPS. So this team could easily come together and shoot right up these rankings pretty quickly. We just have to see sort of how it all comes as a unit after all the trains. I'm sorry, I just fucking punched the microphone. And coming in here at number 14 is going to be the Savage Storm. I had, at the draft night, watching this team come together, I was like, wow, this team actually looks really good. But then once I kind of sat down, started crunching some numbers on terms of how things filled together with roles, the SR cap might be just the bane of the squad's existence. You do have Dire, kind of that Omega carry level tank player on that Junker Queen, on that Zarya. Fairly impervious to hero bans, which of course is a big deal for some of these teams coming up, but Dire should be able to work around those fairly well. You got some good value picks here as well with TC on that DPS, and the mom usage on the support had a great MVP level nomination season on the Macau Mouse. But it's just how do we get hyper into this roster with the SR being as this? I don't believe they have a hyper support Dire tank lineup. I could be mistaken. If that's the case, it might be difficult to make roster work. I think that if they can get that second lineup kind of come through, this will kind of be a main theme for like kind of lower teams, is how that second lineup look for playtime restrictions. If the Storm can figure that out, I think that main roster is easily a top half team in the league. Just got to see the second lineup come through. Kind of want to put them down here at 14. And at number 13 here, I'm Beta, which is the Fish team drafted here by our rookie captain Ash Thursday, which I think that they actually started off with a really strong foundation of this roster. Getting Silvertails on this team was always never a bad option, but then unfortunately I think just due to kind of SR stuff, it's not really going to work out as well as potentially it might have seemed initially. I don't know if Silvertails can play support on this roster, but Silvertails on that DPS has always been a problem. It's also, maybe can flex over on that tank a little bit, but do have some very decent value picks here. So I got Transfect, of course, coming up, a big bounce back season where he did win his 3rd ring on the support. So you can probably swap, him and Ash Thursday out, very similar in terms of the SR. This team just has some questions on where do you put the best player. I think if Silvertails kind of comes into this role, plays that Cassie, plays that Genji like we've seen in the past to a very high level, I think they could probably be a fairly solid team, more like a kind of the average squad. But I think if these kind of diamond players step up and play above their SR, they will be a team to kind of reckon with later in the season. But for now, I'm at 13 because I just need to see it. I need to see where Silvertails goes. And at 12, we have the Prague Plague, the team with the most budget in the auction, of course, with Drew being that manager, having that $1 million to work with. Made sure to put to work getting the Season 8 MVP Mardox, who, of course, is able to play all roles. But I don't know if SR is really the way to go, putting 4,500 SR onto the support role. Potentially not where you want to go, so Mardock's probably playing more of that primarily DPS position this season, or potentially even flicked over onto the tank a couple times here, depending on how things work out. But this is one of those teams where, once again, where does that second lineup come in? Because we have the Mistletoe support with that Mardock's DPS looking very solid, but then does Annex 2 move over on the tank? Where does Nort Logic go? Does he go to support where he plays most of that Ilari? Does he go over onto the DPS where you see the Genji, the Bastion? We've seen a lot of things from Nort on that role in the past. There's just a lot of questions with this team, how they fit everybody in. Where does Mardox play? And I think that this team could be very solid, but they remind me a lot of the Mosasaurs last season, and we kind of saw how that worked out for them. So I need to see this team kind of bounce that narrative away from them, and once again show us why Mardox was the MVP last season and have a good solid start to their season. But unfortunately, they have 2 really tough games in the first 2 weeks, so hopefully they can at least make them close or even win some of them and kind of make me eat my own words here. But for now, number 12 seems like a very solid spot for the Plague. And at number 11, we're going to have the Cats in Hats. No, Greg, you are not dead last in my power rankings, and that's because I believe your team construction a little more than others. While, the Lucio, Greg on Lucio is a question that we only see you answered. Lucio is sort of, it's one of those characters where you kind of have the ability to do a lot and get stuff done, especially with the mechanics of Greg. Maybe does a lot of damage on that character and gets the value from Lucio. But honestly, for me, the thing that brings this team together a lot is that Dr. Jargo on that tank, who kind of ascended towards the end of the season last year on the Merry Maples and had a really solid end of the season. Unfortunately, didn't get the win the playoffs, but looked really good on that Zarya. I think that Dr. Jargo has a decent amount of flexibility to be not affected as much by bans as other tanks in the league. So I think that's good. And this team also just reminds me a lot of like a Guangzhou Tigers or whatever they were. Guangdong Magic Tigers. There we go. The Guangdong Magic Tigers, where they don't really have an extreme weakness that you can exploit when you face them. But I don't really see the hyper carry on this team either. They're all kind of the SR average, diamond level players, with Dr. Jargo sort of being the head of this. So I think just an all-around solid team. If this team gets good teamwork together, they don't have like that hyper carry player where it's like, please, I need this. No, they have just good, solid team play. If they can get the comms right, if they can get just the comms to work around each other, I think this team could be really good. But for now, with those questions kind of still lingering around in the air about the Greg main support, I'm putting him at 11. Greg, don't prove... I just kind of realized I put Greg in like the same spot last season. Hopefully you get a different result here this time. And breaking the top 10 is going to be the Bangkok Baby Girls. I'm not going to get used to saying that name whatsoever. But this team is top 10 simply because of Wind, basically. Wind is probably, at this point in the league, the best tank that we have. We don't have Vind coming back. We don't have Fancy here. So I think Wind is taking that spot as the top tank, sort of the top G. Unfortunately for Wind, this is the season with hero bans, and they're going to have a map every series where they don't have Zarya available, which might make things fairly difficult. Unless this team only goes for the protect bans most of the time on tanks. You ban the Winston, or you ban Diva. Yeah, I know it was a good Diva on him as well. Ban Orisa or something. Try to protect that Zarya as much as you possibly can, especially pairing it with this DPS line of Dawnwaggler and Water Bucket, which is a really fun combination of names. When you look at like Dawnwaggler and Bucket, I think they're going to work really well with this squad. You're going to have Dong, who plays, no offense to Dong, but the annoying ass DPS characters. You play the Mei, the Sombra, that Pharah. I think that if Dong can play that sort of annoying DPS position, which has sort of been known for the last couple seasons, especially on Swagasaurus, was kind of his main go-to. He can distract teams away from Wind, or if they focus on Wind, he can find the value on those characters. And Bucket, of course, sort of a big Reaper specialist who would pair really well with Wind on that Zarya. If they can get that Zarya-Reaper combo moving and working, it's going to be pretty devastating for other teams. And of course, you got a solid support line with Nutter especially. I think playing more of that flex role this season, not playing the Lucio. But I think our see how this goes. They have some good tests here in week 1s and week 3 versus I'm Beta and the Guangzhou Guardians. I think that these two matches in particular will tell us a lot about Bangkok Baby Girls going forward in this season. And I could easily see this team going up in the rankings fairly fast with how well Wind can play and carry a team. I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see how it all comes together. I'm excited to see. I'm not excited to say the name. All right, and here at number 9, I got the Shangri-La Squirrel Squad, which I said the limit was 26 characters. Jack comes back and says the damn 25. So he's absolutely character maxing on his name, but the way he's also maxing is his value picks, because you got Kaden, who came back after a couple seasons of hiatus on that support, is I believe somewhere around 3950, 4000, something like that, but is flat on that DPS, and Kaden has been a very solid DPS player in the past, so I think that could be a huge bonus for this team, a huge boon for him in terms of making the SR work on the squad, as well as Real Dog on that tank. I mean, Real Dog isn't like the hyper carry tank most of the time, but is very solid on every single tank character. We've seen the Riddle Hog, we've seen the Riddle Ball. You know, I rang for this team for Scrim. You know, you caught me, chat. I've been caught scrimming for this team. And they showed a decent amount of flexibility in the tank role. We saw Ball, we saw Zari, we saw Diva, Reinhardt, we saw everything. And Real still has other things in the bank as well. So I think this team is also fairly ban-proof, which should be a good for them as the matches go on longer. But also, they did have some good scrim results as well against Redacted. But they did have a ringer, which was me and Flammo Jambo on DPS, which, you know, we didn't see their full team. They still had a great scrim. I have them at 9. And at number 8, I'm going to have the Andromeda Astros. I don't know if I said that right at all, but the only reason this team is down to 8 is I just need to see Trevin on the tank.
I should have stopped this one with your father. You stop this one now.
No, okay, let me finish. I gotta prove it.
Prove what?
I'm not a mistake.
If Trevin on the tank, again, I had the same exact thing for Zimbabwe Zebras last season. I believe my first power rankings, I had them at 7. Now, the Astros, very similar sort of build here for Neptune, relying on rookies to play above that SR. You brought Dish back to pair with Neptune, which of course we know is a championship duo, but it's just, will the Neptune be able to help these rookies again succeed? You know, someone like a Renegade making a big change, you know, Trevin off-rolling. If they can get this working, if the Neptune comms can bring this team together, I can easily see a 2-1 or a 3-0 first stage. They have a tough match against the Vengeance, who are, of course, higher in the rankings than them. But I think if they can get out to a solid start 2-1, 3-0, this team can have a really good season. I have them at 8 right now, but similar to Zimbabwe Zebras, they can easily jump to top 3 once I see Trevin play tank. We're coming up on the 2, 6, 7, but 7 is going to be the Guangzhou Guardians. I think that a lot of people don't really understand how good this team's DPS duo is. In my opinion, they are easily a top 3 duo in the league. But another Yukami chat is the Highland Horse Girls did scrim the Guangzhou Guardians. We faced them firsthand. Maverick is a very solid tank player. You know, we have the ability to cover most of the support, roster with that Q Raza flexibility. But I think that if this team can be competitive in week 1 versus the Nightly Knaves, I think that they're going to have a really solid start to the season, at least a 2-1 if that game is close. And I think this could be one of those teams where as the season goes on, they're only going to get better, because, I think that Maverick will be in this team learning new tanks. We saw them getting some live coaching as well while in that scrim, and they were playing new things. We know Conor Maverick as a Sigma player, but we saw the Orisa, we saw the Zarya, so we can see that Maverick is trying to expand that hero pool, and if they do that and sort of become spam-proof or ban-proof, this team might be really, really good. But for now, start of the season, just be competitive week 1, I think he'll be in good spot Guardians. And here at number 6, I'm going to have the Vega Vengeance. And the Vega Vengeance definitely have a couple things working for him really well here. I'm a big Swifters believer. I think we saw him for like 1 or 2 games in Aurora Overwatch Clash Season 1 on the Brooklyn Bricks, but it was pretty darn good. And all I've heard is they've only gotten better since then. We got some scrim results from them just a couple days ago, and apparently Swifters was having a masterclass showing on that DPS, so it could be huge value here for War. And also, speaking of value, they have a lot of value picks on this team. They got Tommy Slat, they got Topaz, Taken Wallet had a great season in Martians last year, despite the results not potentially saying so, but Topaz is well coming back after a strong top 4 finish on the Tomatoes. I think that there's just so much value across this team, as well as War being that low gold DPS player. I mean, we saw the May in the Grand Finals on Circuit Royale getting so much value, and also still having War with the ability to hard common IGL on that role is a huge boom for him. I think this team will have a lot of team chemistry, but that might take a little while to build. So I foresee potentially a slower start for the Vega Vengeance, but as we get longer and further in the season, I think it's going to be a lot better. They remind me a lot of the Tomatoes last season, and I think they're on a very similar path with Topaz on the team. Not really what I was going for there, but I think that with sort of a softer first division, which I think really their only losable game being against the Astros, I think that if Vega Vengeance can go 2-1, hell 3-0 in this first stage, get that confidence going, get that team chemistry building, this team will be dangerous going forward in stage 2 and 3, and potentially in the playoffs as well. So Vega Vengeance at 6, but I think they're ready to jump up. Starting off our top 5 here, we are going to have the Hyraxes. I'm going to try to say that first thing. I'm going to learn that for casting them. But Hyraxes, I think that this is the team that got, in my opinion, the most valuable player in the draft, being Corey on that diamond support, that diamond DPS. Not tank. We don't talk about that one, that 3900 tank player. I don't think it's going to be seen the light of day anytime soon, but I think that with this team, you got so much working for you. You got WK and Flambo doing back together. They have so much experience, so much chemistry building back and forth. You have the communication structure. You have Flambo, who's IJL. You have WK, who's the Tommy Comms. Corey also as well brings in, chimes in as well, sometimes here and there. The only problem with this team that brings him back is Whalefish on tank, I think is the main concern for me, because Whalefish, sort of known for that Orisa, known for that Zarya, is this team really ban-proof? Because once we go to later in series, we could see we're going to go to a brawl map, we're going to have Whalefish on tank, but we ban Orisa or we ban Zarya. Then kind of what happens is Flambo move over on the role, play that Ramatra, play that Reinhardt, those Whalefish go to DPS. How does that second lineup look for him? But we saw this team basically together on the Kawadis with a lot of the same elements coming back for that team, and it was a very successful team, top 5 finish in their season, and that's why I had them here at 5 again, because I think it's going to be a very similar team. I don't think this team really has a very, I should say this team doesn't have like a highest ceiling, but for me, this is the team with the highest floor. So I think this team should have a very successful first stage and potentially build on that in the future stages as well. And at number 4, I'm going to go ahead and have the Performative P.E.K.K.A.s, which I think there's a lot of good things going for this team right now. You have Skycer, who is probably a top 3 tank in the league right now, on that Ramatra, on that Hazard. And we saw on the Winston, of course, we're trying to see some flexibility, potentially some issues with the hero bans, but maybe they can just work around. We go to a dive map, I play Winston and Hazard. We go to a brawl map, I play Ramatra, Zarya. And we saw Zarya in the playoffs for the Hummingbirds. On Nepal, which of course we have that one clip, we won't talk about that one, but looking for Zarya's final is on a bit of a flanker, but the grab goes wide! Excuse me! This team has a lot of good things going for it. You're gonna have Ari, who is of course the ringer cast god, but also is, I believe, 3400 on the sheet, but just recently hit GM, so you're gonna have basically a free 600 SR to work with there on that DPS role. You also have the ability to put, I believe, Skycer on DPS and Ari on tank, which we know that Skycer, for that Genji, ask him about that win rate, he will tell you very proudly. So I think that personally, and also just a solid all-around support line should keep Skycer up. I think this team has a, probably similar to the Hyraxes, a very high floor, and I don't think it has a very low ceiling either. I think this team can go crazy, but I just want to see how Skycer kind of interacts with the hero bans here on the tank role especially. Might affect this team a little more than others. That's why I had them out of the top 3, but learn a third tank and things might get crazy. At number 3, we're going to go ahead and have the Knightly Knave sitting here to break our bronze medallion. And personally for me, the Knightly Knaves, you look at their roster, look at how the team's constructed, it's just the Suspicious Sherbs, but with, no offense to KJ here, with the tank upgrade. I think that the way we're looking at the squad right now is just that if Nolly can find value on that sort of gold DPS role while Shard Axe, Southwest Knave do their thing in the front line, I think that this team could easily be number 1. We just have to see how Nolly performs and these rookies that they have on top of it. I think if this team's ceiling is probably to me the highest in the league with that hard carry with Knave and, you know, Southwest. Shard actually saw it on the Sherbs last season. That team play came together for them really well, and now we're going to see if they can make it work again here on the Sherbs. They have that preseason chemistry as well, because I think that at least 2 of these members are on the same collegiate team. I think it might be actually all 3 of Shard Axe, Southwest, and Knave. So they got all working for them. They basically just built, I think it's UW Stout. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that one at all, but I think this team's going to be really good. I'm excited to see them in Stage 1. I think they could easily go an undefeated Stage 3-0 and set themselves up into that top stage for Stage 2. And number 2, I'm going to have the Scrungle Strays, and I think that this team is probably, you know, looking at it, going to be one of the better dive teams in the league. Nathan, of course, known for that Winston, sort of that divey look, along with Sky now. I think people kind of forget how good Sky is. We saw a sort of a down season on the Martians with the results not really speaking, but Sky was still putting in the work on that squad. And now you pair him up with Nathan. You got Remis Charbotron in the back. You know, you got the besties roommate support line. They're gonna get work done, and I think that this team is gonna be really good. It's just how do we work in these other players? How do we work in that second lineup here, which for me keeps them out of the number 1 spot, because, you know, where does Spicy fit in? Where does Leonardo the rookie fit in? If they can really get those second line to work, this team will be really good, winning a lot of games in a very quick fashion. I don't think this team will really be tested until week 3 either, which is a good sign for them, because then they will be able to kind of build the second lineup, get some ideas of where things are going to go and how things are going to work out. And of course, that means the number 1 here is going to be the Pittsburgh Puffles. And this is once again Sonic putting on a masterclass in the auction draft format, getting Void Fiber, who might actually be one of the bigger values, even though they are technically listed at GM. They are currently now a champ player, so very good. The only concern is, you know, what happens with hero bans. Does the Venture get banned, and then what happens to Void Fiber? But we will worry about that later. You got Void Fiber Tanic, which is an insane DPS duo. You know, Tanic locks down that Genji, locks down that Reaper, that Mei. Good, solid backup for Void Fiber on that hard carry Venture, and, you know, maybe another character. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But you got Sliced Bread, of course, coming off fresh off of the Finals MVP and gets himself back at number 1 in the power rankings. Sliced Bread might just be the GOAT, or might just be the luckiest of all time. We'll have to wait and see. But the only question for me on the Pittsburgh Puffles is the Sonic tank. We haven't seen it in a while. We've seen a lot of Sonic support, Sonic DPS. But, you know, back in my days on the Awesome Anglers, pairing up with this fella on that Sigma, looking really strong. I want to see what they pull out in terms of that tank composition and how this team works with hero bands. But right now, if all things are working, this team is by far the most talented in the league, and I think that they will make a big splash in their first stage. The group of death is definitely going to be the Puffles, the Pekkas, the Horse Girls, and the Waves. I think that group is insane, as it's stacked, and whoever makes out there alive is going to be battle-trodden and ready for whatever comes next in Stage 2. So, yeah, that's going to do it for my power rankings. And unfortunately now that means that we're going to have to go and do the foot quiz. God, if you're real, don't let me get a single one right. Save my scores, log in before I play. I want this on my permanent record, actually. It's actually going on the internet, so it's going to be... The average score is 7 out of 9. Who are the two mysterious grippers out there? But 2,000 players, I'm going to be one of them. I'm so excited. Duration 3 minutes. It's going to feel like a fucking eternity. Here we go. 1v... Solo... You can 1v1 the Overwatch foot quiz? Oh my Jesus Christ. Well, those are Sigma's feet. Those aren't even really feet. Those are in the socks. Those are Sigma's feet. All right, cool. Oh God. That's Roadhog. That's the Roadhog grippers. I know that. That's the highlight intro too. Fan art version? What the hell? Whoa. Well, I'm gonna assume it's Diva or Mercy, and since they're like above me, they're like flying, so I'm gonna say Mercy. Oh, okay, I got one wrong, I did it. What the hell am I looking at? For the love of God. For all that is holy, who made this? Oh my God. I'm just gonna say Soldier. I'm really sad I got, oh, what the, oh, okay. You know, we're seeing like some brown pants up there, which leads me to believe this might be Cassidy. I don't think it's Genji because we would see it could make some more cyborg stuff. Go ahead and give me Cassidy and I'll lock it in. Oh God. Why is Tracer there? Whose feet fan art? Okay, well I see the pink nails, so this is unfortunately gonna have to be Zarya. I also might be blocking some of the thingies, but I'm blocking like some of the options, but it's gonna be Zarya because I see the pink nails, and unfortunately, oh, what the fuck, guys? I think that's Wrecking Ball. Guys, I think that's Wrecking Ball. What? Who the? Ooh, wow. Well, that's Reaper because you can literally see the mask in the image. They're kind of cheating with this one. Whose feet? Well, that's a good question. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I'm pretty sure that's Kiriko. I think I'm 100% locked. Oh, I got owned. I got the average. I got the average. Tip the creator. Yeah, sure. So let's see. Diva got me. But it's fan art, okay? Diva got me, but it's fan art, so it's not real chat. And then Tracer. You see, like when I look at this, you see like, oh nope. I want, like, you see kind of the whitish robe back here. We're gonna hide the toes for your freaks, but you see like the whitish kind of robe thing. That's why I was so sure that it was Kiriko. But maybe it's a trick question. Maybe Kiriko is also in the fan art, but then Tracer's got the legs on top. I'm not gonna justify this anymore. I'm done. I want off this. I want off Mr. Bones' crazy ride. And that's gonna do it for us here at BOON1ESPN Season 3, Episode 1. Excited for your Overwatch Clash Season 9. My mind's like melted. I'm gonna be real. It is melted right now. Because wow. Holy balls. That foot quiz actually kind of threw me for a loop. I got jump scared by some of those wrong answers, but hey, I got the average. Therefore, I'm no more freaky than anybody else who took that quiz. Something like that. I don't know what I was gonna say there, but again, I'm bad at intros, so just gonna go it here. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more. Make sure to follow our Twitch, join our Discord, all that stuff. I don't know. Have a good one. See you next time.
Go to sing, 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 go to sing.